Hi, this is Dr. Burton, and I wanted to do a short tutorial to show students how they can use Google Reader as an effective way of consuming information, and in particular as a way of piping into one place different blogs that you want to follow. So if you'll take a look now at the screen here, I've got my Google Reader up. The way that you can get to your Google Reader account is, first of all, just log into your Google account, your Gmail, or directly just to Google. And once you're there, you can search for Google Reader in the top menu here, but it's also a simple thing just to type in reader.google.com. In fact, you can just do that directly and log into your account at that point. Now, once you're there, you need to subscribe to the different blogs that you'd like to follow. And once you've done that, you'll end up seeing a list of your subscriptions that come down the side. Now you'll see that I have a lot of folders here. These are folders of different classes that I teach, and each one of them contains all of the blogs from a specific class that I'm teaching. So this is a current honors course, Digital Civilization, that I'm teaching. Here is a English 382, which is a Shakespeare course that I'm teaching, and similarly with another course. Now what you can end up doing is, after you've subscribed to a bunch of separate feeds, you can group those together into a folder like I've done, and that makes it easy for consuming the information. So I'll walk you through the subscription process so you can see how that works, and then I'll show you how I actually use this to read and follow blogs. Okay, so I have pulled up some sites that I found recently. A student took me to this blog which listed 10 different Shakespeare blogs that are worth following. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'll give them a shot. I will follow them. So rather than going out to each one of these 10 different blogs, I instead am going to bring them all to me into my Google Reader. So this is how I do that. Here's the first of those 10 websites. It's called Blogging Shakespeare. I go up to the address bar and I copy the URL. Then I go back to my Google Reader. I hit the red subscribe button and I copy the URL right there. I click on Add. What that does is it looks to see if there's an RSS feed associated with the blog. An RSS feed means really simple syndication, and it's a way that the blog information can get piped out and that you can subscribe to it. Okay, so notice how this information is the exact same information that comes from this blog. Alright, let me just show you an example of that. We see here Filming Shakespeare's Holy Grail, and so you can see that's coming right from here. Filming Shakespeare's Holy Grail. The same information that was on the blog is now being brought to me through my Google Reader. When I added that new feed, it showed up at the bottom of my subscriptions list. And I'm going to subscribe to another one, and then I'll show you how I can make a folder to group together these different feeds. Here's the American Shakespeare Center. I copy the URL, I go back to Google Reader, hit the subscribe button, paste it in, click on Add, and here it is. It's come up. Let's see if we can see how that works. I play for Shakespeare. There it is. I play for Shakespeare. What's the next post called? The next post is ASC Education. ASC Education. Alright, you can see it's the same content, it's just being piped in here. And you can see that now this new feed I've added comes here right after the other one I previously added. So let me just add a couple more now. Go to this one, Shakespeare Geek. Sounds promising. Copy that, go back to Google Reader, click on subscribe, paste it in, click on Add, and there it is. You can see where it appeared down here as well. Alright, let me just add in one or two more. This is playshakespeare.com. go to Google Reader, subscribe, paste, add, and here it appears down here. It doesn't look like it has any new items, but I can click and see all the older ones. By the way, it shows you the date here and it puts it in order. So that site hasn't updated very recently, not since last November. Let's see, where are we at now? We'll try openshakespeare.org. Not sure if this actually has an RSS feed associated with it, but we will find out. Subscribe, paste. It does. Okay, so I've got that, and you can start seeing these are accumulating down here. Let me do just one or two more. Now that I've subscribed to these 10 different blogs, you can see them all appearing here. I can manage these by clicking on the arrow over to the right side of them. If I scroll down, I can put into a folder. And so I'm going to call this Shakespeare blogs. Alright, that's my folder, and you can see now down at the bottom here I made that and it appears down here. Now the rest of these I can just drag down and put them into that folder. Now if I wanted to, I could put these into a specific order within the folder if I wanted to read them that way. But in any case, now I have, this folder is all of those 10 Shakespeare blogs, and you can see the origin of each feed here. Okay, so we have Blogging Shakespeare, Shakespeare Geek, Folger, etc. These are coming from different blogs. Now, if I wanted to only look at the posts from a single blog source, I could just click on that. So here's the American Shakespeare Center's Education Department blog, all right? Or Shakespeare Geek, I can just look at those, that's fine. But if, you know, this is what I end up doing with my students is I will look at what all of them have posted chronologically. So if I look at my Digital Civ 2012 class, you know, here are the most recent things that all my students have posted, and I can see which student they are because their feeds have been named by them. But back to the Shakespeare example. Okay, now I've shown you so far how to subscribe to different feeds from blogs, and then I've shown you how you can put those into a folder, and then as you are reading them, consuming them on your reader, you can consume them by folder or by individual blog. Now as you're doing that, of course right now all you have seen has been just the title of the blog post plus a little bit of text from it. And frankly, this is a really efficient way of going through a lot of information, because it may be you don't want to give it any more time than that, right? Maybe you don't care anything about Henry VIII, and so you're not even going to bother to click on that. You're just going to move past it. Google Reader allows you to put a lot of information which might be harder to scan in the original blog form into a you know, this table format. Well, it's kind of like an email inbox format, and you can quickly decide which of these you care to look at. And if you look at them all very quickly and decide, okay, all right, well, that's interesting, but I'm not really going to pay attention to any of these. All right, that's fine, I'm done. You can click on Mark All as Read, and then they will no longer be bolded. And you have some other options too. If you wanted just to mark as read items that are older than a day or a week or 2 weeks, you could do that. You have some other options for the folder settings. I usually like to read them sorted by newest, but sometimes it's important to look at them by oldest. And there are other things that you can do here as well, but I'm going to hold off on those. All right, so look at over here on this side of it. You have these two different icons. Right now we're on the list view, but if I click on the expanded view, then I can see all of these blog posts appear with their full text, and then I can read them through like this. And in some cases that would be a lot better than just looking at them in list view. It depends on what you want to do. And you'll see that many of these do include media that's been embedded. Like here's this video clip right here, and that will play if I wanted it to. It's not the same thing as reading it in the original format, of course, but this is an efficiency for consuming information. And what will often happen is if you get interested in a topic, then, for example, if you want to comment on it, you can't comment on it from within Google Reader. So you could instead click on the title of the blog post, and this will take you out of Google Reader directly to that blog post. So if I wanted to comment on that here, or perhaps see it in its original format, I could do so. Okay, so it's really easy to jump out of Google Reader to looking directly at the blog post in its original context. Now, something that you can do while you are reading is you have these options down here at the bottom. You may not want to use all of these, but I found them to be quite useful. The one I probably use the most is just the star feature, and that just means, hey, that one was an important post, I want to remember it for later. So if I click on this one, which is A Midsummer in Midwinter, and then let's say I go on and I'm reading a bunch of other stuff, or maybe weeks or even months go by, and I think, man, there was that thing I wanted to remember about something midsummer, midwinter. I can click on, at the top here, just my starred items. And when I do that, you'll see, oh, look at that. The first one that comes up was the one that I had starred from before. So that's a good way to keep track of things. The other things that are at the bottom of each of these posts as they appear here is if you're signed up with Google Plus, you can +1 that particular thing, and that will show up in your Google Plus stream. I won't explain that right now. Google Plus is great though if you get involved with that. You can email this to a friend. You can mark it as to keep it unread, or you can send it to different locations. So you could send it to Blogger if you wanted to blog about that, or to Facebook, or to StumbleUpon, which is a social bookmarking site. These are actually not the only options that are available. You can end up sending it to other places too if you want to. I will often send mine to Evernote, but that's another thing. One of the other options you have is to create tags. These are just labels and another way of finding your information later on. And tags can be anything. So if this one, let's say I call this performance, and then I save that. Okay. Well, down here on my list of subscriptions, right below that, you'll see these little icons for tags. And so I just had entered this new tag right here, and it shows up right here. And guess what's going to happen? When I click on the performance tag, any post that I had given that tag will show up here. So you don't have to use that feature, but it is another way to keep track of things, especially if you're researching a specific topic. Okay, let's see. Was there something else down there? No, I think that's about it. So when you browse things through the expanded view, the default setting is that as you browse them, just scrolling past them like this will mark them as read, no matter how closely I read them. So if I go back to the list view, it should show that those have now been read. And right, they do not show up as bolded anymore because I scooted past them in the expanded view. You can change that under settings if you don't want it to do that, but I think it's a pretty good way of doing that. One of the things you start finding out as soon as you start using Google Reader is you end up subscribing to far too much more than you can really keep track of, and so you're constantly marking all as read or something like that. And frankly, at a certain point, you need to go back and winnow things out. Like earlier today, I unsubscribed from several feeds that they just weren't doing it for me, and they're just kind of clogging things up. And I think that's just part of the habits of intellectual hygiene in the digital age. Is occasionally you have to enrich your feeds, your stream, and sometimes you need to thin the herd, to mix metaphors. Okay, so those are ways that you can consume and bring things all together. Let me show you one other aspect of this. In addition to being a place to centralize your various feeds and keep them categorized and tag them and mark them, this gives you a place where you can also search. Okay, up here, if I let's say I'm really interested in Hamlet, and I click on this, I can search all the items that have come through my feed, or I can restrict it to a specific folder, right? So maybe just within a certain class that I'm looking at. In this case, I want to just look at everything that my English 382 Winter 2012 class has written about. Okay, so I'm going to hit that, and this brings up then every blog post from within that folder, just within that folder, that makes any kind of reference to Hamlet. Now, this is really good because you can start making connections in ways that you might not have thought of otherwise, and you start doing a little bit of thematic research based on searching your own feeds. Now, it's also possible for you to search just among those things that you have starred, for example. And over time, if you star a lot of things, and then it's like, oh man, you know, I want to make sure, I'm sure that I bookmark something here that in my starred items it referred to Hamlet. You can click on that, and sure enough, I have 3 different starred posts that so I had, you know, they were memorable for some reason or another, and that's why I starred them. And this is a way of me being able to search just within things that they've already passed one level of screening for me. Now, I realize not everyone will use this. It's not a feature that everyone is looking for. But one of the hardest things to do is to refine things that you've already found valuable. This is one way that you can do that. You keep track of it either by starring it or by putting tags or labels on it, and then if you need to, you can search for it, or you can browse for it through the starred items, etc. So hopefully this has been a good introduction to you for using Google Reader, and let me just say how flexible it is once you start using it. Google Reader is something that can be accessed through multiple different devices and also through actually different software clients. So I'm looking at my iPad right now, and I'm using a program here that's called Feedler Pro, and it's one of many different programs that you can use, and I don't know if you can see this very well, but essentially it has my same folders listed here. So here's my English 232 Winter 2012 feeds, and I can browse all of the feeds that are in that folder. And these are the same blog posts that I can look at on my desktop PC. And the cool thing is that whatever actions I perform on my mobile device will be saved to Google Reader. So, you know, if I read things here or put stars on them or tags, they stay in the cloud, and so they're there no matter what other device that I go to. So I can look at my Google Reader from any browser window, any computer that's hooked to the internet, or I can look at it through a variety of different devices. I have it on my smartphone as well. In fact, I've got a number of different feed readers on my device here that allow me to read the same information in different formats. And sometimes it's kind of fun to experiment with that, because you can see that there are, I don't know, you just experience the information in a different way when it's on a different device or within a different software program that displays the same information. And it can really, it just has a different feel to it, and can really help you consume in a different way. Let me give you a quick example of that. On the iPad, there is a there's something called Flipboard, which is a program that you can use and import your Google Reader feeds into. And so this is the same information, but it's displayed in a very different way. And I don't know how well you can see that. Oops. But I can flip through the information this way, and these are just all my feeds that I've subscribed to from Google Reader, but I can look at them in a different way this way. And it takes advantage of some of the virtues of this particular hardware. But you don't have to read it in this way. You can experience it in many different ways. But once you are tied in with Google Reader, now you have all of these kinds of options of being able to consume that information in different places, on different devices, and through different kinds of software clients that simply authenticate through Google Reader. All right, well, I hope that was useful to you. I hope you can begin using Google Reader, and if you have good suggestions for how to use it better, I'm all ears, because I'm always finding out from my students that they're discovering great new ways to make use of these tools that I hadn't thought of. So thanks very much.